Hello everyone, here we have with us today Mr. Ranganath Sadashiva, who has been serving with HP as Chief Technology Officer for more than 3 years now. But before we get into a quick chat with Mr. Sadashiva, I'd like to read out a quick introduction about him and about his professional career. Mr. Sadashiva had a very humble beginning as account executive at the CAD Center India, where he served for a period of 1 year, and then moved on to HCL Infosystems Limited as key account manager team leader, where he served for a period of 5 years. And then he joined HPE India as Director Regional Product Management Team, where he was for a very long tenure of 16 years, contributed to some of the best of HP storage for Asia Pacific and Japan, and was based out of Bangalore, Karnataka. He later moved on to Spectra Logic as Regional Sales Director for EMEA and APJ, where he served for a period of 1 month, and quickly dived into IDC India, where he was Director Enterprise for almost 2 years. And now we have with us Mr. Ranganath Sadashiva, who has been with HP as Chief Technology Officer, serving and aiding and helping and assisting all of us out here. I'd like to welcome Mr. Ranganath Sadashiva to the portfolio.
Hey, thanks, Veera. Long introduction, I say. Corrections on Spectra was about a year and IDC was 2.5 years.
All right.
So, glad for bringing all that into remembrance now.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for giving us your time and sparing your time with us. This is an interview bite that we have scheduled for our DSR team, so we'd have a lot of questions rolled out for you with respect to the digital sales team and how they have been impacting our business, their role, their prominence, everything about it. So first, I'd like to start with a question that if you could briefly describe your journey with HP, because you've had two very different stints, and now in a completely different role again. How does it feel and how has it been for you?
It feels awesome. The journey, I just can't recollect that it's been this many years, so it's been fast-paced. But HP has been a place where things really came into prominence from a career perspective for us. While out of college and in the initial jobs, I think HP was the place to go and work. Mm-hmm. We always speak of multiple decades and prominence of organizations. So it was the era when it was the likes of HP, the likes of IBM, likes of Compaq, that were the places that one wanted to work. Glad to have made it there, and since then it's been a progressive journey, I would say. Tried to do different things over periods of time. I think every 2 years I've been doing different profiles. I had a stint of doing an APEG job then, and then an APJ job as well, which really kind of opened up different business cultures, the way business is done, the way technology is absorbed, and how people-to-people interactions happen very, very differently. There was a time when I was Ranga-san, with San is from Japan, right? And many of my APJ colleagues still call me that way. So that was the experience. Then took a break off HP, but nevertheless was watching HP in a very big way when I was in IDC. And then came back as a person who could basically get the aspect of technology and the needs of customers together. There was a void in terms of understanding customer requirements, translating that into business needs, translating that into technical building blocks. I think that's what I was able to kind of do from an HP standpoint. Still doing that. Really enjoyed this thing. It's a nice place to work, all in a nutshell. That's what I would say.
So I hope we have you with us for a lot more years, if I can say that.
Yep, surely.
Yes. All right, and just moving into my next question, digital sales has been taking over the market and has been a huge focus and emphasis even within HP. So what would you like to share about its prominence in the market, and how has the turnaround for the HP DSAM team been in recent times? Your comments.
Yeah, a few things. If you were to look at the kind of prominence for digital sales today, it's grown, and during the COVID times, I think every individual in an organization was a digital salesperson. Right from managing director of an organization to DSAMs like the team that we have. So, let's look at the backdrop of all of this. The emergence of digital as a technology. There was a lot of speak. Rather, a lot of discussions around world going digital. Digital is not a new term. It is almost to my knowledge, about 12 years to 13 years old when the coinage of digital transformation really happened. But during the pandemic, I guess, it got a new meaning. There was an absolute need for doing things. So in that entire journey, when you say digital transformation, you're essentially digitally transforming your product solutions, the way you interact with folks. That's where I think the DSR team has really been able to scale and deliver what results we are seeing today. I think they are the people who take the message in a digitally transformed world, get people interested in that, track digital journeys, have a digital interaction. So all of this, I think, in tandem with the presence that HP has. Right? We are a large partner organization, large field sales selling organization, big relationships that we have. So if we were to look at it and kind of bringing home the entire impact that we can have on a customer stack or a customer relationship, I think DSR are the people who are forerunners in all of that transformation, I would say. Having said that, I think it's still at the tip of the iceberg, the way we can really transform this entity to create a larger than life kind of an impact, right? Because it's digital, it's more conical that way, where you can essentially reach out to a larger set of folks. So I believe, it's a very, very positive and interesting start. But if you keep yourself engaged in this mode, I think it can become much more bigger.
Right, definitely. And as you mentioned of how the pandemic brought in a change in how we sell digitally, that brings me to my next question. What do you think about how has digital sales changed or transformed over the period of pre-COVID and post-COVID, and what are the changes that you see?
Yeah, I think, and I spoke about the prominence, from a Me Too, kind of an activity that digital teams used to do, to saying I am what it is, right? So it is the forefront of any engagement today. And to me, the conversations that the digital teams have are very close to what market rumblings, as I say, right? Very close to the ground. The conversations are very, very true. They're very, very, in the forefront of organizational growth. You're speaking to a different set of customers as well. Traditionally we have been very enterprise-oriented organizations. Speaking to those new startup organizations, speaking to those newer personas, speaking on newer topics, etc., makes it a very important cog in the wheel to say, to get us information about the market. And I keep speaking to you all, and the most important thing that interests me is the fact I have a ear, you guys have the ears to the ground, and I can hear the first rumbles there. So I pick that up and then transform that into, whatever way we need to connect the stories together and make an impact with the customer.
Yes. And as you mentioned, there has been, we are very keen on understanding what the customer's requirements are. And that is also evident of the fact that there are new technologies coming in the market, and it is revolutionizing the IT ecosystem right now. How is it expected to impact our business models, our offerings? Where do you see it going next?
Yeah, I'm sure you would have realized we are a transformed company, right? From 2015, the way we started off and we made our announcement that we are going to be an as-a-service company. In 2019, to an extent where I had to understand what really is this and how things have developed. And fortunately enough for us, I think they're at the forefront of a revolution that we see. But from a technology aspect, I think there are 4 pillars that are coming into play. I call it the DEX. Right? The first one, D, stands for data. The emergence of data as the king and the kingmaker is very, very important. So nobody can afford to lose out what data has to offer, right? I keep saying data always screams, but you need to have the ear to listen to it. So we'll have to do that. When you say ear to listen to it, things like analytics, things like AI, things like whatever, right, which analyzes that data and provides that insight comes into play. The second aspect in the tech strategy is edge. When I mean edge, it is all connected devices and at the edge of it's not in a data center, it's out of a data center. Could be your handheld device, could be an IoT device or anything like that, right? That landscape has transformed. The number of edge devices that are going to have is going to constitute to 60% of the data that one is going to have, right? So it's going to be very lopsided in terms of edge really becoming thick and fast and really become very, very big. So what are they doing? They are firstly at the edge of creating an XP, so the way you handle an app, the way you have a conversation using an AR/VR tool. etc. Right? Those experiences are coming into play. They are also the hub for generating a lot of data. When I said IoT devices or a transmitter on a car or multiple autonomous cars, but data points that you collect are all at the edge. So, there is an experience to have, there is data to be there are insights to be provided. So that is something that's an important one. The third is our cloud experience, right? The way you would want to buy your food versus the way I would want to typically buy my food are two different aspects, right? You would go and kind of order it over an app, and I would want to go to a counter and order that. So we want to retain that experience, that convenience, right? People have gotten used to it, and that experience, why should it be limited to a kind of a cloud environment? Can't I have the cloud experience all over? It's like saying that God is everywhere, right? The cloud experience has to be everywhere. That's godly today. So that's the third aspect. And more foundational there is the element of security when I say edge. So that needs to move away from being at a periphery, being a moat and a fort and a moat kind of a concept, moving to being more pervasive. The threat landscape has increased. The threats are now getting integrated into firmware, for instance. So, your ability to look at security very comprehensively and developing on a zero-trust architecture becomes very, very important. I think these are very foundational here. You're going to see trends like 3D printing, AR, VR, and those kind of things. But at the core of what we do, I think these are the four things that resonate with customers today. In various sizes, shapes, flavors, malleable, ductile, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yes, true that. And as CTO, if you had to comment on a global view on what would be India's growth in the forthcoming years and what kind of role will the digital sales team have to play in it, speaking of us setting a foundation with respect to data, edge and cloud, where do we see this going ahead for us as a country?
Yeah, India is buzzing, isn't it? In the sense that, it's the forefront of all growth. What fascinates me about India is the ability to absorb technology, right? Whoever imagined that, people would use a smartphone in the remotest corners of the world, right? You thought it was only for the elite, right?
Yes.
So that's the first observation I have about India as a market. The ability to try things, the ability to absorb technology, and you would find this in your customers as well. They would want to give it a try, right? So they're very entrepreneurial in the way they approach technology today. That's one. The second aspect that I see is the scale that India is going. Nobody can talk about the scale that we can provide all in terms of usage, market, in terms of testing a given solution, complexities, diversity, whatever you would want to look at from developing technology and providing to the globe. I think that's where it is. And the third point is the ability for India to deliver things for the globe. Right? We have all of this constituents which make all other markets a subset of what India can deliver.
Of course.
I think this is what is where you're seeing the creativity really come into play. So many unicorns come into play. What does this mean to HP? A great opportunity to transform ourselves and deliver to that growing demand. Have we transformed? Yes. As a service today is the in thing, and I would be reaching out to some of the new age partners today when in Goa we have an event where we are going to speak to them about this alternative that we have as a service. People just went to public cloud and did things there, but when maturity of technology happens, then you look at what's right, what's wrong, and where is the optimization that we can deliver. And that's where as a service comes into play. I think we are at the forefront of all of this. I think it is upon us to really go and tell this story. Right? If we don't, others will say. So there's a great sense of ownership that one needs to have, a great sense of responsibility, and have the greatest of passion to really go and deliver this message, because this is very, very differentiated, and this will make Meera really stand up and say, okay, look, she's talking something different. Let me listen to her. That's what it's going to be.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Ranga. And I'd just like to conclude with my last question. If you wanted to share a word of advice for the current workforce, people like me who have just joined HP and are part of the system right now, what would you like to share for us?
Yeah, this generation is capable. Firstly, I want to start with that confidence, right? They absorb their things very, very quickly, and they're very grounded. So in that context, it's not like how we started a career, you needed a mentor, and truly there are so many things happening, and you kind of mentor yourself. You're in that autonomous mode, is what I say. But a couple of aspects are important. One is to stay relentlessly curious, right? Your ability to ask your questions. How do you be relentlessly curious? The simple way that I have figured that out is to say, the 4 W's and a H, right? What, where, when, why, and how. Just ask these questions. It's a very simple tool, but really helps you in being relentlessly curious. This should be whenever you're facing your customers, whenever you're understanding technology, whenever you're proposing something to the customer, in all walks of life, right? I think if you're asking these 4 questions, it adds new dimension, new perspectives, and gives you a good standing in front of anybody, right? Wherever you understand it. I think the other thing would be to be, heartlessly dedicated, right? In the sense that for in any career of an individual, there are these times where you really have to do the donkey's work, right? You will have to do things, plow the field, sow the seeds, and do all those things, right? Don't shy away from that. Don't take shortcuts there. So do that work. After that, it becomes easier. Then you can really do things fairly easily. So that the so-called donkey's years in an organization needs to be truly oriented towards learning, because those are very foundational, whether it is the way you understand technology or the way you kind of interact with your customer or face up to situations, right? Don't shy away from that. Go and tackle them up front. I think, these are 2 things I can kind of tell you. We have kind of used this. I at least have used this in the way I've looked at life and also at careers here. It has worked well, is what I would say. Otherwise, you guys are really good. You have a sound head over your shoulders. So.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much for your time, Ranga. That brings us to the end of the interview, and I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sparing the time from your busy schedule. I know you're a man who is constantly on flights and in meetings and attending events, and always trying to build and create more business for HP. Thank you so much for your time, and you have a good day.
Thanks, Meera, and all the very best to the DSR teams. You guys rock. Just keep rocking. All the very best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.